Hi everybody, we're still in our $300 apartment, 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in Cuenca, Ecuador. So things are happening all around the world, and it's interesting to me to keep up on, and especially, if something's happening that's really local, like what's happening here. Somebody within the government decided that it would be a good idea to go around in Guayaquil and spray, and they've got these humongous canister looking sprayers that that just spray huge amounts of vapors. All right, what do we have here? Go ahead and take a piece.
It's a frittata. Vegetable.
That looks really, really cool. Something amazing is always cooking in this kitchen. Pretty amazing. So I've made some videos before about how restrictive some of these commercial establishments are, and I'll tell you, the mall stores are some of the worst offenders. We walked into this one particular store where the smell was so strong. Now there's people that'll tell you they're using this disinfectant nowadays called chlorine dioxide. And, people will tell you, oh, it's harmless, it's harmless. And I imagine that in very small quantities, just like everything else in life, just like a small amount of water quenches your thirst, but of course, a whole pool of water, will drown you. So clearly in very small amounts, I'm sure it's probably mostly harmless, but in large amounts it is not. So we entered this store in the mall where the smell was not really a smell, it was a really thick, almost like, I just have to paint a picture here. It was like walking into a jello of stink of this disinfectant. And I'm like, it was so strong that it just, and I'm not this guy that's super sensitive to things. I've been in situations where other people were much more sensitive than I was. If you're an American, you'd know what I'm talking about. I don't think any, most Americans would have been able to enter that store. And as soon as I entered, it was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I said to the young guy sitting behind us, he said, oh, it's disinfectant. I said, no, way too much. And I had to just turn around and walk out. So this is just part of the hysteria, that's going around since 2020. And expats are not immune to falling a prey to this hysteria. Chlorine dioxide is understood to be partly chlorine, and it is possible. I know I did some study on chlorine, and it is possible to be poisoned by chlorine. I did the research on this because when I was in Italy, the neighbors underneath us were using chlorine almost every night because apparently she was trying to keep this quiet, but she had her dog in the apartment, or dogs rather, and she wasn't walking them. We never noticed her walking her dogs, so therefore she had to, and I'm snitching her out, but you don't know who she is. But she was using this really strong chlorine every night, and it was just, the vapors were coming up through our doors and balconies, and I just made a video saying I like to keep my windows open because it keeps me cool and fresh air and all that. But these strong chlorine vapors were coming in, and it was so bad that it was unbearable. And so I did the research on chlorine, and it is possible to become poisoned by chlorine vapors if you have too much. Now, apparently, somebody within the government decided that it would be a good idea to go around in Guayaquil and spray, and they've got these humongous canister looking sprayers that that just spray huge amounts of vapors of this vapor of chlorine dioxide, where people are just inundated with this huge amount, and people were freaking out in Guayaquil thinking the worst, whatever that is. But it does kill bacteria, virus, and fungi. But you need to understand that in the air, it's quite natural for just the normal air to dissipate things in the air. If it was necessary to blow a bunch of chlorine in the air, I mean, what you're doing is you're making the situation worse, where people are actually breathing something that's worse for them than the actual risk of catching anything by walking around in the street. The chances of catching a virus walking around in the street are almost non-existent. It's technically not possible unless you get really close to someone, or they're sneezing on you, or you're talking, 12 inches away from them for 10-15 minutes and they're breathing on you. It's not likely that you'll ever catch a virus, but that doesn't stop these kinds of... This reminds me of the old Salem witch hunts, the amount of superstition that is perpetrated. Months ago, they had here in Cuenca, they had the same system going on at traffic lights, and they here a few months ago had it even out in the country where cars had to go through. It's just the hysteria and the superstition is just way over the top. Listen to what the FDA says about this product. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has issued a warning letter about this stuff. Now, of course, it's mostly aimed at people that are trying to sell it as a miracle cure, this chlorine dioxide. But the way that it's being used during this 2020 year, where it's being sprayed out of doors in the air, and and people walking and breathing it in, I mean, it's the same risk as what this is talking about. This, despite previous warnings, FDA is concerned, that this stuff is being sold as a cure for for the virus. The sale of these products can jeopardize a person's health. This is straight from the FDA, and delay proper medical treatment. We continue to take action and keep up our efforts to monitor, for these kinds of treatments that can actually harm people's health. Chlorine dioxide products have not been shown to be safe and effective for any use, including but these products continue to be sold as a remedy for treating all kinds of remedies, including. So there's actually no proof whatsoever that this stuff sprayed in the air, and especially sprayed in the air, is going to be killing any COVID-19. So the FDA is particularly concerned about products that fraudulently claim to cure, treat, or prevent, So this is what actually happened in Guayaquil, the presence of an extensive layer of vapor. This is reported in the local news. So you see here, you've got a picture here, and you can see the vapors are they're all over the place. I mean, if I was walking down the street and all these vapors, I have no doubt that all of that, I would have to immediately understand what was happening, and I do now that I've read the article, and immediately turn around and run. And even then, you probably would end up inhaling a large amount of this vapor in your lungs, which causes the problems that it causes to your health. So you see what I'm saying here? Extensive layer of vapor surprised hundreds of merchants and passers-by in the center of Guayaquil around noon, December 22nd. And so what happened is that the execution of the so-called disinfection plan is to protect the sector from the contagion of. This is what people are being told in the local news here. So 60 people, 40 motorcycle backpacks, and 10 trucks, so the extensiveness of it, and 600 liters of chlorine dioxide were used in the spraying of the neighborhood. One of the places with they say there's a lot of people there, and it's a high-risk area according to the article. And they're doing it again in the evening. So they're doing it in the morning and in the evening, and they're also wanting to do it in other areas. So they're wanting to do it to spray this chlorine dioxide on exteriors of commercial establishments, parking lots, and entrances of shopping centers, including Mall del Rio and shopping centers. when clearly all one has to do is a little bit of research and figure out on their own. But again, for something like that, you have to first be seeking, and then you will find. Seek and you shall find. So there you have it. It's definitely an issue that is strong in my mind, because you're walking into these stores where just the thickness of the use of these products, and I walked into some of these stores, and they want to put this stuff on your hands and stuff. Look, my mom taught me proper hygiene, and as we become adults, we take personal responsibility for our health and our hygiene. And I always wash my hands. I wash my hands probably a couple dozen times a day, just because I touch the computer and the keyboard and this kind of thing. Every time I go out, the first thing I do is wash my hands. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have good hygiene habits, but I'm saying that this hysteria that causes people to remain in a constant state of fear and panic, as if all they have to do is walk around and they're going to drop dead from some deadly virus just from being outside, it's just ridiculous. And some of these stores are so pathetically ignorant, and I have refused to do business with them. I will refuse to enter and buy anything from a store that demands that I put a product on my hands that is potentially harming my ability to strengthen my immune system by dealing with what we are dealing with in nature on an everyday basis. That's how our bodies are designed. All right, and some more information from WebMD. Now, chlorine dioxide is a disinfectant that kills bacteria, viruses, and fungi, but at high doses, which is what we're seeing, sprayed around people and put into these small shops with no ventilation, especially in the mall, no windows, and that's so thick in the air, it can damage red blood cells, from WebMD, and the lining of the gastrointestinal or the GI tract. Nobody needs that. That's just harming your immune system even more. We were the very first to put out a video way back in January, or was it February, about how we need to be strengthening our immune systems. I'm not saying that as someone that has any kind of degrees in this kind of thing. I'm saying that as someone that has taken responsibility for their own health their entire life, has been studying personal health since I was a teenager, and ever since have never stopped and never will stop studying and learning about personal health and personal hygiene. So I take complete responsibility for my own health and my own hygiene, and I know for a fact that I, as a healthy person, am not infecting anyone. And if I was sick, I would stay home. And I urge anyone that is sick to simply stay home. That's just good common sense. Nobody needs government to tell them these simple things. However, there's nothing wrong with educational campaigns to help people understand proper hygiene. However, these kinds of educational issues people are supposed to be learning in school, and if they don't learn them in school, they should be taught by their parents. So again, this is a personal responsibility. It has nothing to do with the fear-mongering. You know, if all of these things were really true, the human race would have already been extinct many centuries ago, and therefore I always say, uso mandatorio de su cabeza. It's mandatory for you to use your head and think, and if you're not sure, study, read, and learn. So thanks for watching the video. I hope I've encouraged you to be extremely diligent so that you can enjoy your retiree lifestyle and pursue the lifestyle that you have always dreamed of. Thanks for watching the video, and have a wonderful day.